Okay, this is another workout. This is a level 1B. I'm going to introduce some swinging into this video. So I'm going to talk over it because there's a lot of technical stuff involved that you need to know about. But first, we'll start with the static postural exercises, but remember to do the warm-ups that we started in workout 1A. If you want to go to a specific warm-up video, you can find that in the functional warm-up YouTube video that I did. We're going to start with another wall breathing exercise. This is actually the slightly more basic one, although it might be harder to feel the engagement in your core muscles and between your shoulder blades for this one. So the other one with your arms up, some of you might not be able to do, but everyone should be able to do this one. Okay, next up, this is a calf raise. So what I'm going to do here is just lean against the wall slightly, then take a big deep breath, squeeze my shoulder blades back, and then posterior tilt the pelvis. Then go up on the balls of my feet, not so much on my toes here. Now, then you breathe deeply as you do the exercise. You might have seen this in some of my other videos, but the important thing to note here is the technique is to feel like you're raising your little toes as you go up into the calf raise. This avoids ankle supination. Okay, next one. Now, if you pause the video at the start of this video, you'll see my problem, which is that I've got a slightly depressed right side and my shoulder dips on my right hand side. Now, if you look at it right now as I'm speaking, my shoulders actually look quite level. The exercise I'm actually doing is chest breathing. So if you see, my chest should be rising and falling. It can be a little bit difficult to see on the video, but if you look at my lower rib cage, and then if you look at kind of the way my chest is rising up and down, that's what you're looking for. It's important to raise the rib cage so you can get rid of the spinal compression, so you kind of decompress your spine. It also does help you line up your posture just right, and is what you need to do when you do the movement exercises. Okay, this one is the unilateral position. So you can't see me from the side view here, but I'm trying to line up about hip width apart with my feet, and then I get that slight hinge at the hips, flatten out my spine so it's in a neutral position, and then I meet the knees together, pull back on the front leg, and then most of the weight is on that front leg. You'll have a slight rotation, so on this one you can see here my right arm is slightly forward of my left arm. It gets a bit difficult to see on the video, but I've got a slight rotation in my spine, but not very much. This exercise prepares you for kind of the gait cycle, so a movement position based in this position. So you can imagine this would be the start of a sprint, for example. Okay, then we're just going to practice a simple standing bridge. So this looks a simple exercise, but you can take many weeks and months to get this just right. If you're in just the right position and you're holding the tension as you should feel an engagement in your glutes. Now, what will happen with many of you is you'll feel probably an engagement in the lower back area, and that's what we want to avoid. So if you get the spine just right, you breathe deeply through that chest, decompress the chest, and then you load up enough tension on your back line there, where your glutes and your hamstrings. You should feel that engagement with your glutes, but this might take some time to feel. Alright, and then the final static exercise, this is a prone cobra. So the first thing I'm going to do there is drive my knees into the mat. That sticks my butt up in the air. Then I squeeze my shoulder blades back, and that creates quite a curve in the lower back. There's quite a lordosis in the lower back, so then I posterior tilt out of that, and so I'm quite heavily posterior tilted here. You'll see I haven't got rid of the curve completely in the lower back, but it's more shallow, more manageable, and it's quite difficult if you're pushing up with your arms and squeezing the shoulder blades together at the same time as you're posterior tilting. It's quite a tough exercise. Okay, on to the movement exercises. We're going to start with the kettlebell swing between the legs. So this is a one-arm kettlebell swing. You'll see I'm going to start with the full swing here. So really important. So you see I'm not bending the knees too much. I'll show you from the side view to begin with, but this shouldn't feel difficult on the arms or shoulders at all. Now with a lot of these swings, when you first start doing them, you'll be lifting a little bit with the arms, the shoulders, and particularly your trapezius will take a lot of strain. So as you go down there, you'll be eccentrically loading the trapezius when you shouldn't be. But it might take some time to not do that. If you look at the side view here, I'm going to just take a small knee bend. The butt goes back, a bit like the sit and reach warm-up exercise. The butt goes back, then I reciprocate with the other arm, and then we go all the way up to the top. But you can just do this halfway. In fact, I would recommend to begin with not doing this all the way up to the top. So just get a rhythm going about halfway. I think I might show this at some point. But yeah, you don't have to go all the way up the top. Maybe I don't show it in this video. But as you can see, I'm not doing a big knee bend here. And the drive is all coming from the hips and the core. Next up, we're going to do a cross-body swing here. So this time the feet are going to go slightly wider than hip width apart. Try and point them vaguely straight. And we're just going to introduce a little bit of a pivot. As you can see, I'm pivoting on the foot as I turn. But I'm not going to do a massive pivot. And if I hold the pivot there, you should get some stretch in your groin, hip flexor area, or in your side or in your abs. That's what I'm looking for in this exercise, and to create this good flowing free movement. Again, the full exercise you can go right up above your head again, but I'm doing kind of halfway for this one. But just find that rhythm. Try not to use your arms and shoulders too much, and use the drive. As I put my heel down there, that starts the motion, and it's a full body movement. Okay, the next one I'm going to do a short lunge. So seeing as this is a level 1 workout, I'm going to do just a half short lunge for this. Important thing here is to get the butt going back, and if you're engaging the glute as you do it, you should get a bit of a stretch. Even to there, you should feel some stretch in your hamstrings and glutes, but particularly in your glutes. We're going to practice driving up from there. So this is a half short lunge. Notice that, as with all these exercises, the posture is really important here, and by getting in the right postural position, it's the only real way you're going to engage your glutes properly. I go front on here just to show you. Again, it's about hip width apart, and we're trying to keep those knees pointing nice and straight in line with the toes. Most of the weight here is going on the front foot. Alright, next one here, we're going to do a bicep curl with a step. So this is kind of like a half swing, so we're still lifting it like a bicep curl, but we're kind of half swinging it up as well. Now, if you look at my opposite hand, obviously I'm reciprocating, but as I bring my elbow up there, I'm getting a stretch kind of under my armpit, in the kind of rib cage area, and also in the tricep, and I'm using that stretch to propel me into the bicep curl on the other side. as with all these exercises, maintaining a good postural position is the only way that you're going to feel that kind of engagement where you're stretching one part of your body and then contracting the other part. But stretch is probably the wrong word for it. It's kind of loading one part of the body. We call it an eccentric load. So that eccentric load creates kind of elastic recoil to propel you into the next part of the movement. Notice here that my finishing position here looks a lot like the unilateral position. We're going to finish off with pendulum squat. So this is both sides. I'm going to start from the side on view so you can check my neutral spine as I go. So you want to be just loose, really loose with the arms, but controlling the swing, so not letting the weights jolt you as you drop them, for example. And it should be fairly even. My spine is fairly neutral here, and I'm driving up. Now the knees go slightly forward here, but as long as they're vaguely in the same line as your back, as the back goes down, as my torso goes down, they're vaguely on the same angle as the knees here. But again, that butt should go back, and you should be driving with your glutes. I do this from the front as well, and you may notice again where my little problem lies. So I've got that slight dip on that right shoulder again. This is always something I'm trying to work on. This is a good exercise for that. Again, I'll do like a half swing and then a full swing because it's difficult to really raise your shoulders on this one. All right, I hope you enjoyed that workout. Just remember to keep the weights really light, at least to begin with. I'm using an 8 kilo kettlebell for those swings and some 5 kilo dumbbells, but if you're new to this kind of training, it should only be 1 or 2 kilos to begin with so that you really get the techniques of the swings right, because it's quite important to be able to do that before you move up on weights. You've got to leave your ego at home, I'm afraid. Well, anyway, until next time, I'll see you then.